Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right, so I'd like to take a little time out in today's video to thank my friends at grumpygigear.com who sent me this fantastic patriotic t-shirt. I think, quite honestly, they saw how scruffy I was looking in some of my videos, and well, they decided to do something about it. If you've been looking for ways to show off your patriotic spirit with a little bit of attitude, Grumpy GI Gear can help you out. Grumpy GI Gear apparel is a great way to let folks know that our country's founding principles remain in full force and are here to stay permanently. They're veteran-owned and operated, and they have shirts, backpacks, and other accessories for all ages. So get on over to grumpygigear.com and find something that suits your fancy. And thanks again to Grumpy GI Gear for this fine-looking shirt. Let's go ahead and get started with today's video. All right, we're back. So we're going to wait. The current plan is to paint the engine bay, but it decided to rain for 2 days, so I'm like, no. I got to pull the Cadillac out to paint the engine bay, and I'm not, leaving the Cadillac out in the rain for a while is not a huge deal. I mean, I've driven it in the rain, but outside in the rain, raise the door, lower the door, walk around, track water all in the place, high humidity, crappy environment to paint. I'm not going to do that, because this time around we're not rattle canning. We're using the paint gun. So it's going to be a couple days. So maybe later on in the video we'll get to that. Well, definitely later on in the video. I really want to get to that. Painting that engine bay is priority right now, because I got to get that done before I can get the brakes fully installed. And I want to get the brakes fully installed so I can move on to the rear of the car and start working on the rear part of the drivetrain. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on in my brain. But while I'm waiting, we can make sure that these dirt dauber nests are gone. And I got this piece of trim here. It is total junk. I figured I'd change it out. I bought another one on eBay, and I cheaped out as usual and bought the cheapest one I could find. I got this entire trim set, these 3 pieces, for $34. Are they great? No, not really. Are they bubbly? No, not like this. They're not. There's some bubbling here, and under here where you can't see unless you go like that, right? Other than that, the piece I bought on eBay looks pretty dang good. So that's it right there. Only problem is there's some wear right here. The chrome has been worn off. I think the trunk lid on the donor car probably hung down a little bit too far. But again, the only time you see that is, well, unless you're close up. Anyway, it's just something to do. I figured be fairly decent content just to go through the exercise of seeing how all this stuff pieces together. We got to go through this entire car anyway, and putting a pristine showroom piece on this thing right now is, there's lots of these available online on eBay and whatnot, but this was pretty good. Didn't break the bank. And we can polish it up and make it look pretty nice. So that's what I'm going to do. And really all you have is 4 bolts. You got one here, and you got 2 on either side of the lock, and you got one here. I've already taken them out. And but this is being stubborn. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I mean, it is just... What are you doing to me? I wonder if it's clipped to this end piece. Anyway, I don't know why it's stubborn. It maybe just stuck to the rubber seal, so I got to figure that out. So give me a couple minutes. Hopefully we'll get this thing off the car. All right, we got some plastic stuff here, which is what I really ought to be doing. There we go. That's the way. Plastic body tools. Going between the rubber and the main body of the car. I'm assuming that's the right thing to do. I really don't know. It sounds like I'm really tearing into it, but I'm not. I'm not sure what's going on with this, why it's being so stubborn. It's only been on there 53 years. He doesn't know what he's doing. You daggum right. Just come on. There we go. It's starting to come on now. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's attached to it at all. Or I could be completely wrong. Yeah, there's 2 screws on either side of that lock. So yeah, I'm a dummy. Alright, I had naively loosely reattached this cover around the lock, so it's just got 3 screws on it. I'm not raising the hood all the way because I've got the trunk lid. Because I've got the hood resting on the car in such a way that this is as far as I really need to be raising it. I've got the hood of the car sitting on styrofoam pieces that I've saved up from, you know, various things, buying TVs and all that kind of stuff. There's the latch cover. Set that aside. Anyway, the hood is not going to mar up the top of the car or anything. It's sitting on. I've also got a piece of insulation board from insulating the attic too. So let me see. Do I need to get the borescope out after this thing? I'm going to have to get my head up in there and take a look-see. All right, so there's actually 2 little bolts on either side. I'm just going to see if I can do it blind. Yep, there we go. They're 8mm. All the fasteners on the back of this thing are 8mm, apparently. You got 4 nuts attached to the threaded shafts. And then you have 2 little bolts on either side of the lock. Yeah, it's way up in there too. But, you know, Mercedes, being is what, you know, they do. There's a nice hole there, right where the tool needs to go up in there and loosen it. They made it to where it was easy to get out. That's the joy of working on these cars. There's a few things that you really don't want to tackle unless you know exactly what you're doing. But for the most part, you just drop the bolt down in there and it's okay. Which is what I just did. Did I drop it in the trunk? Or did I drop it? Well, even if I did drop it in the trunk, it wouldn't matter. Or did I drop it? Yeah, I dropped it down inside the wall of the trunk. It's just one thing right after another. Good thing we got magnets. Magnet, where are you? I'm over here. This part here is not something that AI can tackle. There we go. Something else in there. All right, so we've got a little E-clip, C-clip, whatever you want to call it, riding on this thing. Got to take that off. It should come off after this. So give me a second here. All right, we're going to set you guys in there. That should come out now. I'm going to hammer on the end of that threaded shaft with this this thing. Lightly. Boy, it doesn't sound lightly. Well, I'll cheat it a little bit. I could just go look this up in the book, you know. I think we're almost there. It's a tight fit. It is a precision machine, don't you know? What else we got going on here? Is it the rubber? It's the rubber. And boy, is it a hefty rascal. We're going to need to leave that up in there. It appears to be in perfectly serviceable condition. And it's a long, apparently it doesn't come in 3 pieces. Apparently it goes in 1 piece. And yeah, we're going to leave that right where it is. Sometimes you just need to slow down and have a glass of iced tea. All right, we'll take these license plate illumination lights, I'm assuming is what they are. Take these out. Not sure how this is going to work out, but we'll get it figured out here. Clearly, that screw there no longer wants to play. It probably has a connector up in here, some back in there somewhere that comes loose from a connector. You just take the whole thing out. So let me lower the car once again and find where the other end of that is. All right, there's an access panel. That guy right there. Where is our wire going? It's going over here to the other tail light. So maybe if I just take the cover off of that, taking the two black knobs off the back of the rear tail light assembly as if I was about to change a bulb. I've got access, and there's the connector. Needed to get in there anyway, really. I need to go through all these lights and change the bulbs out and all that kind of stuff, just like we did for the headlights. Get the universal tool, which serves as an electrical connector loosener. Thankfully, that's not welded together. I'm assuming there's room to get this connector fed up through here. The connector itself is open slightly, which is impeding our progress and not allowing it to come through the hole. So let's close it. You're supposed to close. Somebody has been in here already doing something to this thing. All right, we got it out of there. There we go. This is why I'm changing it out, okay? See all that? That's why we're doing this, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is start exchanging parts. We're going to use, looks like we're going to use the lenses out of my car. This one has one lens and it's got some blue paint on it. I'm assuming that's overspray from the original car, which was probably blue. This screw here was being stubborn. It is completely trashed now, so we're just going to get after it with the vice grips. Yep, broke off. That's fine. Kind of expected that. Gonna need to be careful with this. See these little guys right here? These little screwdrivers like this you put in your shirt pocket. We used to call these level sevens when I was in the Air Force enlisted. I was in a computer maintenance area. We worked on big mainframes and old mini computers from the 60s and 70s. The Air Force used for all kinds of top secret stuff, you know. Anyway, and those computers stayed in working condition for 30 odd years. So anyway, I don't know what they use now, but that's a secret. Anyway, level 7, we had different levels of your enlisted skill set, you know. You level 1, 3, 5, and once you're a 7, you're like, oh, you know, and you'd walk around with one of these in your shirt pocket. So anyway, that's your 7 level. So we got a little lens here, perfectly serviceable, and we got a nice rubber seal on the back of it. It's perfectly fine. All of that will get cleaned up in the super clean. Let's go for the long screwdriver with the good leverage. How about that? Come on, Craftsman, you can do it. Craftsman's so good, it's ripped that screw right in half. Let's do the other one the same way. That sounds like Puddin's floor jack, doesn't it? Puddin's Fab Shop, he got a floor jack that squeaks, and it's funny. We got that one out. We are going to have to come up with some screws, though. So, good thing we got an example to go by with some threads on it. So, we'll just go down to the hardware store and pick up some. So, what are we going to use out of this one, other than the lenses? The bulb carrier definitely looks better in the replacement part. The wiring harness, that's going to have to be spliced out. So they cut this one. Let's see what we got here. What's going on here? Does this come out? Yep, you got to mash down this little spring-loaded doohickey right here. Don't break it. All right. That screw's coming out nicely. All right, I got it figured out. Got to slide it that way first, and then tilt it up to get it past that little clip. Okay, that's the original wiring harness that somebody cut out of the original car because they didn't want to do it properly out of the junkyard. Oh well. Now we have to contend with these. I took one of these out earlier. These are studs. Let's look at the old one. No, it's just had the stud in there. It doesn't have the nut. Not sure why this car has 2 nuts on each one. It'll be all right though. We'll take all this stuff off of here. We'll polish this piece as best we can, and then we'll assemble it. Unless we, and of course, unless we break it, and then we'll just, you know, order a different one. That is as far as we're going to take that. So what I'm going to do now is get some 3M polish and clean that up a little bit. All right, so before we start all that though, I'm going to get these lenses in the super clean bucket, and hopefully that'll come out nicely. And before we lose any of this hardware, I'm going to put it in the baggie that's been designated for the rear trim. All right, let's get some gloves on and get some 3M action going on here. Again, sorry about the rain. You know, we're right next to the window, and it's the way it is. We're going to need something a little more aggressive. We got some stuck-on rubber there. Little 4/0 seal wool. Chrome is rubbed off here and here on either end. That's way better than it being ridiculously bubbled up and everything, I guess. And we can always find a better piece later on down the line. I'm going to go with this for now. Besides, the party piece is right here on the edge, and it looks pretty good, so I'm going to go with that. Figure out our next step, which I guess what we'll do is we'll yank the wiring harness out of the original one, clean it up a little bit, and install it in this one. Let's do that next. I don't suppose anybody wants one shit grade piece of trunk trim for a Mercedes. Yeah. I'm going to take this wiring harness over here. I'm going to dump it in the bucket of super clean and get all the dirt off of it. And then I'm going to get a little sandpaper on these copper contacts. So I'm going to clean this thing up really quick, and then after that we'll put it in the new piece. All right, we're back. So this wiring connector here was somebody's been in here before farting around with this thing, and it was a little loose, and it wouldn't quite fasten up completely. So I just put some electrical tape on it and tightened it down pretty nicely, and that'll work just fine. And I got these bulb receptacles looking pretty sharp. Got the wire wheel out there and got some nice clean metal. All right, I don't have any LED bulbs. And so I got these 2 original incandescents, and I think I'll simply go with them. So there, how about that? I just cleaned them up a little bit out of curiosity. 12 volt, 5 watt. If you were curious, probably no one is except for me. Now, let's carry on with what we were doing. Yes, it's still raining, and it's frustrating. All right, so the wiring harness goes on the passenger side, this end rather. So that means this end goes over here, in there like that, pull it through, same thing over here. Okay, now, hell, we're just about done with this part. I got to clean up the lenses and put those back in place and put the bulbs in. So let's do that next. It's like the humidity is like 1,000,000% right now outside. It is insane. Supposed to rain for another 14-15 hours, I think. Now I got a road trip tomorrow, so I was gonna go today, but decided to not do that because of the weather. It's kind of nasty in there. Hell, I didn't get that part out. I could just not worry about it because nobody's gonna see it. All right, now sitting like that. If I look up underneath there, am I going to want to read the numbers on it? Yes, I am. So I'm not going to put it upside down because that would be annoying. Oh yeah, I don't have screws. Ha ha! All the screws are trash. I'm going to have to get a couple of these screws, figure out what they are, and go get some. There's one right there. Looks like a 4mm. That's what it is, 4mm by 0.7. All right, I think that's where I'm going to leave that. I need to have screws to finish up, so I'm going to leave this right here, and we'll move on to the other 2 pieces. All right, we're gonna paint this engine bay. Finally, I got everything I needed cobbled together. I got my primer, got my cups, got my little measuring devices, got the reducer, I got the little, I got the paint gun, I got the strainers and all the things, and read all the instructions. If you think this is going to be an instructional thing on how to paint a car, that's not going to happen. Not really. Last time I painted a car body was a long time ago. I painted a car I had in the 80s, in the late 80s. Had a little fender bender, and we borrowed a siphon-fed paint gun from my dad's work. And I went to the local parts house that had car paint, and they mixed it up for me. Took pity on me and gave me some basic instruction on how to reduce it and how to strain it and all that kind of stuff. And Dad had a compressor and did the best I could. The paint job looked like crap. Had a slight sheen to it. It was single stage silver paint on a Chevy. And yeah, got some paint on the car though. It was a learning experience. But I'm thinking this will go a fair sight better since we've got better technology and I've got a little more wisdom, or at least I'd like to think I did. Gonna go with the Pour 15 high build primer only because it's recommended for painting over the top of Pour 15. And that's what I've got in the engine bay. I guess it's what I'll use anytime I have Pour 15 on the car anywhere and I need to prime it, then I'll use this. But other than that, when we get ready to paint the car, you know, I'll just use some sort of standard primer, whatever's recommended for whatever product that I choose to use, whether it be Nason or, you know, whatever, what is it, BASF or what's another one? 3M. Anyway, all the paint manufacturers, you get it. Anyway, I'm going to finish stirring this up. I'm going to mix it. You're supposed to thin this stuff up to 4 or 5%, which is not a whole lot, really. So I'm going to do 8 ounces, and that is 5... not 8 ounces. I'm going to do, let's just say it. Let's go with millimeters since it's a Mercedes. How about that? 250 milliliters at 2% is 5 mil. So I've got a little thing there for measuring the reducer out. I'm just about done stirring this up. And I don't really like making a mess, pouring things out, so I'm just going to dip it with this, you know, just to be a little neater, so I don't get paint all over the side of my can and look like an idiot. So I'm going to mix this up, get it over in the gun, and then we'll move over to the car, and we'll do the best we can. Hopefully I won't screw this up too badly. Let's start with something easy. Now the fluid flow is a little light. All right, I think I'm done. Let's move on. Let this place air out. All right, it's the next day. We're gonna try to top coat this thing. Hopefully it won't be a complete disaster. All right, sorry about the heater. It's cold outside. It decided to get cold on us. So yeah, I'm all done. It's not, you know, the greatest thing in the world, but it'll do for now. The party piece is the core support, and that seems to be just fine. I went ahead and painted the body tag as well, and painted the little screws. I haven't tightened them down just yet. It came with a little piece of zinc or something. It's a little metal plate. I think it's zinc, maybe. I'm assuming to prevent corrosion of the body tag. I don't know, but I put that back underneath there as well. And still haven't got all the tape off of everything just yet. The emissions tag is sort of detracting from the glory of this okay-ish paint job, but I guess maybe I'll get on eBay and find another one, and then just take those rivets out and put it on there and make it look a little nicer. But that emissions tag is just basically trashed. So yeah. Anyway, the engine bay is looking pretty sharp. I must say, I think right now, let's go ahead and untape this monstrosity and see what we have. All right, I think I got all the tape off, except for maybe, let's see, well, nope, there's some on some wires down there, but yeah, whatever. Is it, you know, professional grade? Nah, no, by no stretch of the imagination is this engine bay paint job professional grade. There's a lot of problems with it that just hit my eye as I glance across the landscape there. I can see some primer right there, but the ignition system bolts up right there. That's where all the coil and the ballast resistors, everything, you won't be able to see any of that. Not worried about it. Over here on the this side of the core support, I noticed all this stuff after I started peeling the tape off. You got that little bit of, but it looks like, you know, a fluid if you were to have a speaker beneath it and, you know, some boom boom bass or something and let it vibrate up through the fluid. And that's what it looks like over here, and a little bit right there too. Up here it's fine, over here it's fine. But anyway, just an observation. I'm assuming I got too heavy with the paint right here, or maybe the surface was too cold. It's really cold and humid. Too cold and humid to be painting a car. So it's what it is, I guess. I'm not going to worry about it. Once you close the hood, none of that stuff will be seen. So there's some issues back there on top of the cowl, but with the hood on it, you know, this is like really, really dark back here. You'll never see any of that. And when I do paint the car, you know, I'll probably take the hood back off and I'll probably just hit that with a little sandpaper and just hit it, you know, just hit it again and it'll fix it. So, you know, these are just observations. Haven't painted in decades. Well, I mean, you know, properly painted. So anyway, you have to have some perspective in all of this. Right, and I guess I'll probably put a picture up from a few months ago of what the engine bay looked like prior to me doing all this. So, and that'll make me feel better. Just snugged up quite a bit. There we go. That looks very smart, doesn't it? And we got our body tag right there. Let me get a little screwdriver for that. Tighten these. Not really, not just yet. I'll let this paint cure for a few days before I really tighten those. So I think next for the engine bay cleanup will be finally, I'll get on this wiring harness and I'm just going to wipe it down with maybe either some super clean or some WD-40 or whatever. Just make sure everything's good to go. Check all the connectors, make sure they're not corroded. The battery cable, a rodent got after that, so I'm going to have to inspect that and see if I need to manufacture another one or find one on eBay. If I have to, I can always make a battery cable out of welding cable and sort of recreate that style. I don't know about the cloth coating though. I don't think I want that in my life. Man, what an ordeal. I'm so glad to get this out of my hair. And I think the next steps are get this cover back on there, and then I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to the brakes. I've got the brand new brake booster, and get that bolted up, and get the master cylinder bolted up. And I can see some primer over there in the corner where I didn't get top coat. But you know what? You'll never see it with the brake booster in the way, so it just won't matter. All right, let's go ahead and get our newly refurbished passenger side headlight assembly installed. And let's see, I need a place to put things. Hey, I put a screwdriver there and put screws in my pocket. And put the light back down and give the same treatment to these receptacles as I did the driver's side. For whatever, what is it with German cars and that green corrosion, green and white corrosion? I never see that on domestic vehicles. What is that about? I don't get it. Is that bimetal? Aluminum to steel or copper to, I don't know. Is it the type of metal they used back in the day? And I'm just barely grazing the inside of these connectors a little bit. I'm not drilling anything. It's just a handy way to, you know, clean them up a little bit. Put a little bit of lubrication down in the holes here because this connector is just ridiculous. It's very difficult to remove. It's got a lot of tension on it, and a little bit of lube will go a long way. Because we'll be back in here eventually, taking this headlight out again. So it turns out I had to go ahead and buy another lens. This one here, the original one, was cracked and all messed up, was no longer serviceable. So I found this one on eBay, and it is good to go. And it gave this headlight assembly the same treatment: derusting, painting, repairing the wiring harness, all that kind of stuff. We'll get these two plugged in here. Why did I put this cover back on? I have no idea. If you recall from the last video, the screw that was on this side of this little cover, you know, it was rusted up and broke off. Hell, I tightened it down. I don't know why. I don't know what I was doing. Let's get that screw out of there too. Hey, this side's got fresh paint on it. How'd that happen? Okay. Now we can put it in there. Gotta be coordinated to do stuff like this. Or crazy. One or the other. Either will do. And if you got both, man, you are a superstar. Alright, we got them all in there. We can tighten things down now. All right, folks, I think that's going to be all for this video. My main purpose was getting the engine bay painted with a top coat color, which in this case, for this car, is anthracite gray metallic from 1973. So I used BASF paint, and I had it professionally mixed at a local shop here nearby. And I'll have to say the results were, well, stunning. I was really impressed. And no, I'm not going to show you all my mistakes, because I made a few. And that's okay, because I needed to practice for when I get ready to paint the whole car itself. While I was waiting on all my other paints and everything else to come in the mail, I said, well, I got to have something to do. So I dug into the rear end and started working on the trim. I've got the 3 pieces of trim all done on the rear. All I've got to do is bolt them back up. But while I was doing that, I discovered there's some corrosion inside the rear taillight assemblies. So in the next video, maybe the one after, I'm going to pull the taillight assemblies out. We'll probably have to replace the seals, and we'll have to address that corrosion that's inside there. So that won't be a huge job, hopefully, but it is something that we're going to need to address. But definitely in the next video, I want to get the front brakes installed. I've got a replacement brake booster, and I've got a master cylinder, and I need to start bending up some front brake lines. And then if we can get that done, we can ease on back towards the rear of the car, which is really what I want to do. I want to tear into the bearings on the rear end. The axle shafts need to be addressed. You know, the rubber boots, they're cracking. They need to be replaced. They're probably fine, but the boots themselves are just, you know, they're just old and rotten, and they just need to be replaced. And plus, there's all sorts of cleanup in the rear end that we need to do. So, but that's going to be in the next video. I'm making a road trip this weekend, and I've got a bug out tomorrow, so I'm going to cut this video off right here. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy restoring your classic Mercedes.